Welcome to the Herd. Joy Taylor in for Colin Cowherd today. He's enjoying some time off in the great city of Chicago, which I hope he found a coat because he did not bring one with him yesterday. Alex Curry is hanging out with me on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm taken in. I think you just started a new motto in that tease there. You said, it's Friday. Just relax. Take a deep breath. I was over here. I was like, you're right. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to relax. Everything's going to be okay.
You know, we're very California.
I know.
Everything be here now.
In the moment.
Everything is about breath.
Deep breath.
Yoga.
Get centered. Balance.
Listen, Nick Saban and Dabo need to take some breaths. It's going to be all right. We'll get into that in a little bit as we discuss the NIL. Paige DeMacos of the Draft Network is going to join us. The draft is just 2 weeks away. Ooh. It's here. It doesn't feel like it's so much this year because we don't have the big stars and the talks of big trades for the quarterbacks, but I actually think it's going to be a very interesting draft. And I'm very curious to see how we look back on it in a few years because everyone keeps talking about how it's not a star-driven draft. We'll talk about that with Paige DeMacos. Jim Jackson will join us. The NBA play-in games are tonight, the final ones for the play-in tournament, and then the playoffs are a go. Here we go. I'll get my predictions later in the show as well. We'll discuss that with Jim Jackson, as well as some other NBA stuff as well. Darius Butler will join us, and Moose Johnson, because the USFL starts this weekend.
Ooh, that's big. Tomorrow.
Yes.
Saturday.
Very exciting, so make sure that you watch that
Huge.
In primetime on Fox. So we'll discuss that with him. So as I teased, as we were coming in, Kyler Murray is going to win the contract battle with the Cardinals, and they would be silly to drag this out. So there were some murmurs yesterday. Tom Pelissero reported that the Cardinals have yet to make an extension offer to Murray, and Kyler Murray's agent has informed Arizona weeks ago, in fact, that he was pulling his opening proposal off the table, and it is on the board that he will hold out if he does not get a deal that he likes. Now, again, breathe. Everyone's freaking out about all the power that quarterbacks have now and holding out and what does this say and what does this mean and too much power to the players. That's not the situation here. Now, there's some questions about Kyler Murray, and that's fair. Does he have all the leadership intangibles that he needs to have? Will he be the face of the organization in 10 years? I believe he does. But if this becomes messy with the Cardinals, they're sending a message that maybe they feel that he doesn't. So Greg Jennings talked a little bit about this earlier in the year, some of the issues that might be bubbling up with Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Here's Greg Jennings.
They've created this problem. And it was a good friend, Larry Fitzgerald. I remember sitting down and talking to him and asking him about Kyler. And he said one of the things that he felt was that they rolled out the red carpet too soon for a young guy. They gave him everything that he wanted, anything. He had free reign, and it started to show in his personality and the way he carried himself. When you do that, when you make that decision early, you set yourself up to fail. And this is what has happened in that organization right now with Kyler Murray. You've already given him everything that he's ever asked for. You rolled out the red carpet, you turned over the car keys and said, here, this is your car. We go as you go. And now all of a sudden, he doesn't want to drive that car anymore.
I don't know what other choice the Cardinals have. This is a quarterback league. He is a franchise quarterback. It would benefit the Cardinals to get a deal done early, a longer-term deal, get the money that Kyler wants, and be able to spread it out so that you have flexibility with the cap. What are you putting off? If you're saying Kyler's not the guy, which clearly, according to Greg and Larry Fitzgerald, there are some conversations about him having some leadership issues. Maybe he's not the franchise guy. Well, that means you guys don't know how to draft quarterbacks because this is your second one. And I don't think you're going back to Josh Rosen. But the tales of whether Kyler Murray is improving or he is the guy in Arizona are also exaggerated because if you look at his numbers year to year, he is improving, which is what you ask for from a young quarterback. Every year he's gotten better. Has he had some injury questions? Maybe, but he's only missed 3 games in his 3 years in the league. Sorry to our radio listeners, but he's getting better every single year. Better completion percentage, more yards per game, higher passer rating, and even though nobody wants to say that wins are a quarterback stat, they're winning more with Kyler Murray. So he's your franchise guy. why are you going to make this messy? We have two examples of organizations trying to go up against quarterbacks and failing. Dak Prescott, which, I mean, I've never talked about anyone's contract in the history of sports more than I talked about Dak Prescott's contract, which I said from the beginning, he is going to get, and that's what I'm saying now with Kyler Murray, he is going to get the contract. And Kirk Cousins, who we know is one of the best in all of sports at making money for not winning a lot. So if you want to go up against the quarterback, you're going to lose. That's just the world that we live in the NFL. Now, if you look at Josh Allen, who got his deal going into his fourth year, he got $43 million at 6 years. And obviously Patrick Mahomes, who got $45 million a year on a 10-year deal. I'm not saying you need to give him a 10-year deal. I'm not even saying you need to give him a 6-year deal. Give him a 5-year deal. Spread things out. Make it flexible. Make it move. But you're going to have to pay Kyler Murray. What else are you going to do? Are you going to go back on the market and look for something better? Everyone wants to find the next Patrick Mahomes. There's only one Patrick Mahomes. Don't get confused about this. And he's staying in Kansas City in perpetuity. He is going to be there. You have a young quarterback that is winning more every single year, improving every single year. Maybe he's not perfect in the locker room. Maybe you feel like you rolled out the red carpet too soon. That's a you problem, because what he's doing on the field is producing results, which means you're going to have to pay him. And clearly he has no problem playing these public games because he already erased Arizona off of his social media temporarily. His agent has already put out a manifesto, Cheesecake Factory announcement, if you will, Cheesecake Factory menu size announcement about what they want and what they're interested in. So they are obviously ready to go to war over this contract, as they should. He's willing to leave $5.5 million on the table if he doesn't play this year. He will make that back because Colt McCoy is your backup right now, and he's not giving you a whole lot of leverage. Pay Kyler Murray. Don't drag this out. Focus on winning in the future, and everything else you have to worry about because he's the franchise quarterback there. Don't worry about the money. You're going to have to pay your quarterback. It's actually a good thing to have to pay your quarterback. That means you have a guy. Everyone's looking for a guy, and Kyler Murray is that guy. All right, so we're going to transition to what I was talking about with the breathing. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I know change is a lot. Change is dramatic. And I try to give grace to people who don't embrace change or can't absorb change as easily as I do. I maybe that's my disposition. I grew up in chaos. I'm used to it. I like to look for the silver lining when change happens. That's just my personality. I get it. Everyone doesn't do that. But when you are one of the top voices for, I don't know, Alabama, for a sport, you're a legendary coach like Nick Saban, I do think you have to set the tone for things. And there's a lot of panic around NIL and the transfer portal, which, by the way, are two separate things entirely. One has nothing to do with the other when you're talking about regulations and how they should structure them. But I think everyone needs to take a deep breath about NIL and how out of control it is. This was Nick Saban on the Rich Eisen show giving his thoughts on the downside of NIL.
There's some unintended consequences of, what the original good idea of name, image, and likeness were really intended to be. So, and I think that's going to create a little bit of an unfair playing field. Everything we've always done in college is, try to be equal, so you have some kind of equal parity, competition, whatever. So will there be some changes? Maybe. Do I have the solution? No, but I think that it's a little bit of the wild, wild west right now, and I think that's what people are trying to, bring under some kind of control so that we don't let things get away from us and it doesn't impact opportunities for other students.
College football has the least amount of parity of any major sport in our country, first of all. So the idea that they're always striving for fairness and an even playing field in that sport is quite silly, especially coming from Alabama. Now, they're just better. Alabama is just better, so it's not that it's unfair, but there's basically no parity, and we can see that in the college football playoffs. So let's start with that. Second, I don't want to hear about how tragic the NIL is from men who have built massive amounts of wealth and success off of a system that was in place for a very long time. It feels a little devoid of self-awareness. Again, like anything, change can trigger people, and it can be dramatic, and it takes an adjustment. But like anything else in life that has a dramatic swing, it corrects itself, and that's what NIL will do. I do think it does need some regulations, some guidelines, some ways to protect young people from bad actors and universities from taking advantage of it. But let's not sit here and clutch our pearls and act like there's not been any universities over the past 50 years who have bent the rules with recruiting a little bit and not done everything above the board. I'm not accusing any particular school, but we all know this goes on. We all know they slide a little cash every once in a while to the youth pastor to redo the church, and all of a sudden everybody has a new car. These things happen. So this idea that it is all of a sudden going to change things that were not already happening is nonsense. Only now you can get a real check. Only now you can pay taxes only. Only now you can put it in the bank and not worry about losing your scholarship. Also, NIL only affects the top players in high school going into college. This isn't something that is going to drastically affect every single college student. You're not going to pay a kid that's going to go to a Division II school $1 million to go to Alabama. That's not how this works. So there's a very small section of recruits that are even being affected by what Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney and some of these other top coaches are talking about when it comes to NIL. So what does this really mean? It really means you have to find a new way to recruit. Buying players? What does that even mean? If an 18-year-old graduates